Hello, and welcome back to another episode of You Are the Masterpiece, where we always tune in and talk on different topics about how we are working the progress and masterpiece at the same time. You do not have to figure out everything. You do not have to be perfect as long as you are taking the effort in your journey. And that's what these conversations are all about. And if this is the first time you're tuning in, my name is Irina Portnova, and I'm a manifestation star because I help you to manifest anything what you desire, from love to money to anything in between. And I'm happy to host this episode with beautiful guest Jennifer Sifert. Jennifer, welcome aboard, and just tell a couple of words about yourself and what you're doing in this world.
Hi, thank you so much, Irina. I am a shamanic practitioner, soul strategist, a guide. I also have a CPA background. For
Mm,
18 years, I worked as a CPA. And I help the hidden titan, the person who's looking to be the next star, really get to that level. Because I was hiding out in a CPA career, knowing that I could stay there for the rest of my life and I could, make a really good living. But I always knew that it wasn't for me and it was not my purpose. And I had to get out of it. And it was hard. It was hard to make a big
mhm,
transition when you're afraid of so many things, especially visibility, being seen,
mhm,
and also the layers of I'm not good enough. No, you
mhm,
can't do that. That's a crazy dream. All of those things
mhm.
that were suggested to me as a young person whenever I thought of doing what I should do. And so I really help people unwind and unravel and clear off all of that negative programming and help them rewire
Mhm.
themselves so that they can step into the power they're really here to be in. And it's a
Ab-
public power. It's a public power.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And before we dive in, because I really want to tap more into your personal story, but before we dive in, I just wanted to announce exciting news that you are one of the speakers on this amazing event where we are talking about how can we tap to the power of money. Like, we are talking about everything, right? How do we bring that force, because we all have that power inside of us. And now we are talking about how can we bring it into our life with less effort, more fun, and more joy. And you have a topic, very great topic, very good tools. And I want everybody to tune in, just register. There is a link in this section, or just pick up from here, right from this message. And we'll see you on the other side, because this is the superpower. Jennifer had amazing interview. I also learned a lot just by listening to her, and I know you are going to benefit big time. Just register and give yourself that gift. All right. Let's just dive in your topic. So, I love it because we all have the similar background. I was also in accounting. I wasn't CPA, but there was something like I was always, like I always felt that I want something more out of life. And that's exactly what you're sharing. But Jennifer, for me, it was like I always wanted to run my business. But then again, if I looked at my education, I was doing accounting all my life. And just the thought to having some kind of accounting services would just creep me up, because I was like, no, this is not what I want to do. And that was something that put like that stop sign, because I was not sure where to go and I was not clear what to do. So tell a little bit about your story. How did you actually come to the point that you discovered what you are here to do?
I knew it at a very young age. Like I knew that I was going to be important. I had an important life.
Mhm,
And and I had guides that were telling me that when I was about 5 years old. And then fast forward, I was a high achieving kid. I come from a horse racing family and I was constantly being trained like by watching my parents train horses. So like it was a
mhm,
7 days a week. It was very much a discipline and a commitment to if you wanted to be, they're performance athletes, right? So my dad was an athlete,
Mhm.
and the horses are athletes. So I learned by watching and by working with them. Here's Merlin too. And
Yay.
by
Mhm.
watching them, that if you really want to win, like if you really want to have what you want, your goal,
Mhm.
you have to train. You have to be
Mhm.
disciplined. You have to be committed. And so that high achieving part of me that can, I, I know I don't promote competitive spirit, but you need a little bit of competitive edge for
Mhm.
yourself to really go for it. And so I had that kind of a background where I was constantly watching that, and I became this high
Mhm.
achieving kid who was in a class with literally geniuses.
Mhm.
So I had to compete so that I could get A's, because you did not want to tell them if you got a B, because that would
Mhm.
be devastating for a person like me. And so I was constantly proving my worth as a young kid.
Mhm.
I was
Mhm.
constantly trying to fit in. And I kind of forgot about these guides that told me about this spiritual side of myself, because I always knew I was intuitive and I was empathic and I was observant, and
Mhm.
the horses were teaching me that. But then when I got into high school, I kind of felt alone. All my friends went to other schools, and I developed an eating disorder because I was still, trying to fit in,
Mhm.
trying to conform to society. And I met my first boyfriend,
Mhm.
and he kind of helped me to realize that the eating disorder wasn't something I needed to fall into. And we ended up going into a deep relationship. My family loved him, but he always said this one thing. He said, I'm going to die young. And he always said it. And he
By
had a
himself, for himself, that he's gonna die young.
Yeah, he
Mhm.
always said this, and he had this bad boy, depressive, rebellious kind of
Mhm.
personality,
Mhm.
which attracted me because I was this good girl, honor roll,
Right.
high achiever,
Opposites
right?
attract. Yes.
Yeah, I was looking
Mhm.
for something else that wasn't
Mhm.
me, right? But he consistently said it. And then one day after some events, I got a phone call that he drowned.
Oh my.
And so it
So.
really flipped the switch for me. It really woke me up to
Mhm.
what you say happens. Like, you can create your life. And I went into shock and grief and a whole bunch of another
Mm.
relationship that was bad and everything. But that was the moment that I knew that went back to that meeting with my guides when I was a little girl. Like, I know that I'm here for a reason. And it's
Mm.
not, and I know if you start saying you're going to die young, you're going to die young, because this guy just proved it to me. He prophesized his life.
Mm.
And so then I an optimist, I'm a positive person. I usually reframe things to the positive in most ways. This was a little bit harder for me because I was experiencing my first death in my life, and I had to go through grief and try and understand. I never knew what death was. I didn't even was never hit my world before. And so I just started searching for meaning and what is my purpose? Why am I here? And I mean, I was waitressing at the time. I wasn't even in accounting then, and I wasn't even thinking about accounting. And I always knew that I was mystical, and I loved shamanism, and I loved ancient civilizations, and I loved magic. And I knew
Mhm.
that I had a lot of power intuitively and empathically, and that I wasn't gifted healer. Like, I had my own natural way of healing. So I just started studying myself and unraveling all of that mystery around myself. And while hindsight's 2020, but now I know that that experience, him in my life, was a catalytic moment for me to
Mhm.
step onto this path that I'm now on. And it's the only reason I am here doing on this video with you today. Like, it
Mhm.
started the events that led
Right.
to where I am now.
Mhm. Oh my God, thanks for sharing. This is super powerful. Like, we all have that awakening moment, right? And it's super important for us to remember who we are And it's great that obviously we all kind of come to that through the trauma, but
Mhm.
at the same token it just, super powerful because it just put us on the right path,
Yeah.
where once we are on that right path, everything feels like so natural, so easy, so effortlessly, because now you don't have to, like push, push, push. Now you do not have to work hard, right? And constantly trying, like you said, to prove to yourself, to somebody else. Now it's kind of, you just take life as it comes, and you just kind of navigate everything, and everything just has a different meaning. And obviously,
Mhm.
the more you are in the flow, the more you naturally start attracting things to yourself.
Yeah. And back then, when I was in my early 20s, I wish it was that easy. I had to still
Mhm,
develop it. I still had to find out that stuff the hard way.
mhm,
And I think that's what makes me relatable, is because I have been in the down and outs. I have experienced narcissistic relationships. I have experienced, losing it all, losing races even, like
mhm,
I've experienced hard times and different d I know what self-doubt feels like. I
right.
know what not believing in yourself feels like. I know what being in the wrong career for a long
Mhm,
time and being, and taking it really seriously, like, showing up like 100% and knowing that you're not in the right place.
mm,
So I get I can relate to a lot of people who are still, you know, maybe they're lawyers, they're doctors, or they're CEOs running a big corporation, but not feeling happy at the end of the day, because
mhm,
I would go in, what made me happy, the most happy being an accountant? Was the customers and the people, the clients. Like, that was the
mhm,
best part. That was the only thing that
right.
really kept me there.
Mhm,
And I was really good at it. I was really an ace. I I was more of a boss, like, I was super good at being a delegator and a boss and creating work for people and finding work for people all the time. But what really got me down was whenever I tried to teach taking responsibility and like the art of manifestation or the law of
mhm,
attraction in that industry and to my clients, they just wanted me to do it for them.
right.
They didn't want to learn how to do it for themselves.
Mhm,
And so that frustrated me because it was a lot of weight on my shoulders to do it for everybody else when you had 300 clients,
mhm,
you know?
totally. Mhm,
And I wasn't happy. It was too stressful. It was too hard on
mhm.
my body, too much anxiety to hold it together like that for them.
Absolutely. And I just love what you share because, like you said, a lot of people are in their careers and they are generating great income. But it's like, again, just the invitation to pause and ask, is this something that they feel happy and fulfilled, right? Again, there are a lot of happy people, but there are a few who are fulfilled. And that's exactly what we are bringing here to the table, saying that be honest with yourself. Start asking these deep questions, because the quality of the questions that we are asking will determine the quality of the answers that we are receiving. And just showing, like, you were in corporate world, I was in corporate world, and how come we decided to step away from that and start something new, fresh, even though we did not know all the steps, even though we were not sure which way we are heading, but we knew that as long as we keep walking, we are meeting our success.
Yes, yeah, and you have to really cultivate trust. You have to learn
Mhm,
how to trust yourself, and and when I went, like, through the whole testing system and the whole getting my designation and all that, that was a lot of work, and I remember cutting off my spiritual side in order to do it. I smoked
mhm,
cigarettes to get that designation. I, you know, I, put my head down and really studied and I worked full time, and I wasn't even capable of getting that designation unless I did work full time while I did it. Like it was a lot of work. And I remember after I got the designation being totally burnt out, totally burnt out. And then finally, oh, I can go back to my practice, back to my thing that nurtures me. And that's not the way it should be. I shouldn't have to cut off my spiritual side to get something. And if I would have known better back then, and I was able to do it all together as a holistic way, like get my designation whilst connecting with my spiritual side, I could have ended up in a totally different realm, like a totally different realm of success than I was in, you know? And
Totally.
I'm not telling people that you need to go out and quit your job and be an entrepreneur, but I think there's in corporate, we still need corporations. We need people to be lawyers and doctors. We need people to be accountants. We need executives and CEOs to create new inventions and, run big companies. And I feel if there's a more holistic approach to your leadership, to your life, because when you're an entrepreneur or an intrapreneur, somebody who's dedicated 100% to their career, your personal life and your professional life are the same. So if you have something wrong going on in your personal life, it's going to affect your professional life.
Absolutely.
And the opposite, right? So having support systems that help you to have a good balance, but also be really connected to everything about you. Your intuition can serve you at your career. Your power is when you're aligned in your body, you're really inside your body instead of up in your head trying to figure things out all the time. And
Yes.
your leadership could be so much better if you're really connected to yourself. And then you can be manifesting, then you can be attracting. But when you're scattered and your energy is depleted and you're running on empty on the most of the time in order to get the work done, it's really hard to manifest from that place.
Absolutely.
Don't you agree?
Yes, you can manifest more chaos for sure. Because remember, we are constantly manifesting, whether we are aware of it or not. But now, when we do it consciously, we can create something amazing and magnificent. Totally. So, Jennifer, share some tools or tips when we talk about unlock your soul power. What exactly do you mean by that?
Well, your soul power is everything about you. So that's what I was saying. Like, it is your personal life. It is your professional life. It is your alignment, your connection to yourself. You are the most important person in your life. And if you put yourself first and cultivate connection within yourself and bring your attention inwards more often than you already are, you will start to realize that when you do that, it's easier to help and to do your work when you look outside yourself.
Totally.
And so one of the things that I teach that is like foundation is noticing. Noticing. We can go around being very unaware of our behaviors, of what we're even saying, of habits, or what you're tolerating. So, for example, notice that you are in a rut. Even maybe you drive the same way to work every day. Maybe you end up in the same traffic jam or the red light. Just notice these things, like notice that. But then also notice, oh, I keep having this negative thought that I'm not good enough. Like, you can let that run and run and run and not even notice that it's running because you're so used to it running. So it's kind of, you just have to slow down, like notice you're having your matcha tea or your latte every day and just notice the effects of what that does to you. One thing I noticed when I was working at the last firm that I was consulting with, I noticed that like within a year, I put on weight working there.
Mhm.
And I noticed that every other woman that came in there put on weight. And we all noticed it. Like we all paid attention to it. So why is that happening?
Mhm.
You know, you don't have to fix it, but if you notice it, you can interesting. You can put more
Start
attention
being
on it.
curious, right? Mhm.
Yes. And
Mhm.
and then you can decide to make a change if that's what you want to do, or you can decide not
Mhm.
to. And then
Mhm.
there's lots of other things like notice how much you're gossiping, complaining, and blaming.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because
Totally.
we get into a really bad habit. Who doesn't have a girlfriend that they sit down with and start gossiping with? I mean, but you have to notice that you're doing that. And that's the thing about power.
Mhm.
We're more powerful than we think we are. Like my first boyfriend, he didn't think he was that powerful, did he? Did he think his words were that powerful when he was saying that out loud all the time and thinking it? I don't know because I can't ask him, but what it showed me is that his words were powerful. And the more you
Absolutely.
are conscious and aware, the more powerful you are. And so the more conscious and aware you have to be about your words, your thoughts, what you're saying, what you're doing, because we're manifesting all the time. And it can be
Totally.
drama. You can
Mhm.
be manifesting
Right.
drama and chaos and
Mhm.
unhappiness and
Mhm.
scarcity, or you can be manifesting prosperity. You can be manifesting positive people into your life. Like being on this you are the masterpiece is because I manifested it.
Right.
And
Mhm.
also being on the summit, I didn't even seek out the application for the summit. I ended up being in a room where Arena asked me if I would like to be on her summit. So that was manifestation.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
earlier the
Absolutely.
week before, I said, "Oh, I want to get some more speaking gigs."
Yeah, look at this. Everything like what we direct our focus on, what we pay attention on, the universe treats as our intention. And the more we focus on something, and majority of people are focusing on, okay, I don't have enough money in my bank account, my relationship sucks, my boss is an asshole, right? So the more they are, just dwelling on that, the more they are recreating that same reality again and again and again. And again,
Mhm.
everything starts from, like you mentioned, noticing and be more aware, be more observer, and just start really paying attention at these things. Because yes, we can actually have the power and co-create with the universe, and we can either prosper, or we can actually put ourselves in the hole where everything just falls apart.
Yeah. And how you can start like when you working by yourself is hard. Like
Mhm.
I have worked with many teachers and mentors and
Totally.
coaches, and what I have noticed, because when I was 20 and I was doing all that research by myself, I couldn't there was no teachers around in 1998. And
Hmm.
I used books though, and I did the practices in the books.
Hmm.
So like I decided to like consider that book a teacher for me, and I practiced what they told me. And it worked, and my consciousness expanded, and I started connecting with myself and putting myself first. But later I got swayed away from it, like oh, now I have to focus on accounting, and I have to do
Hmm.
this to get this, where I didn't have a spiritual guide or a teacher who was helping me to stay connected to that side of myself
Hmm.
so that I could grow more whole instead of
Mhm.
lopsided.
Right.
And so I always say having a good guide like Arena or myself to help you through, because manifesting it is easy once you get the hang of it.
Mhm.
But you
Absolutely.
have to be careful of this manifesting what you don't want.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it's hard to see your own blind spots.
Absolutely. Everybody needs somebody who can guide them and mentor them, because it's interesting. It's like like this expression, the shoemaker without the shoes. That's exactly what happens, because we can help others, but we just not wired to be able to help ourselves without some guidance. And yes, we can do it, but it's more painful, it's more longer, and it's all like trial and error. Like, why would we have to put ourselves into through this? Because if we think about it, time is the most precious thing. Even money can't buy the time. So a lot of times when we are in the delay phase and we say, okay, this is not my right time, I might look at it next year. Next year comes around, there is something else, because we are always going to have the circumstances. Circumstances are not going to go away, but we learn to move through these circumstances. We learn to prioritize ourselves and say, like, wait a minute, I don't want to just, lay down on the dead bed and just look back into my life and say, oh my God, I wish I did this and that, right? Nobody is going to be saying, oh my God, I'm so happy I worked so many hours, right? Nobody's going to say that. Everybody is going to regret about something that was, calling their heart, and something that they never explore because they were always finding the excuses why not it's a right time to do that.
Yeah, and we're always when I was working and not feeling happy after work, like what luckily I did this work on the side. And so I had things after work that were
Mhm.
fulfilling me and would get me into my purpose, so I felt better.
Mhm. Mhm.
But when they wasn't happening, I would find myself sometimes getting into downward dumps,
Mhm.
downward spirals where I would be coping with
Mhm.
being there. And I loved smoking was my main addiction. Like,
Mhm.
and so if I got to a space where I was like, ah, I just have a smoke, then I would just have more smokes. And then it would just keep
Mhm.
dragging me away from myself.
Mhm.
And other people, well, it'll show up in different ways. Maybe it's smoking weed or marijuana. Maybe it's drinking.
Alcohol. Yes.
Drinking, even 1 or 2 glasses, if you're having 1 or 2 glasses a night, that's something to notice. That's something to
Mhm.
notice. Are you pulling yourself away from feeling what you don't wanna feel? Because
Mhm.
there's another tip, is we like to run away from feeling bad, but the thing
Mhm.
that's making you feeling bad is what you need to look at.
Mhm. Absolutely.
And so if you're and that's what a guide will really help you do and help you feel safe doing that instead of because the comforting of the cigarettes or the drinking or the food help you feel safe enough to keep tolerating what's making you feel
Mhm.
bad. And that's
Totally.
what, guides will help you get back to facing it so that you can quickly move through it. You don't have to be
Mhm.
staying stuck for a long time and get to the
Mhm.
manifesting on the positive side of the pole.
Right. And the other thing I wanted to point out, what is the value of coaching or having the mentor, is that a lot of times when we start doing this work, a lot of people do not have the belief.
Yeah.
And that's what mentor and coach is going to help you to believe in your belief, to believe that you can do it, because we've already lived through that. We experienced it. We know that no matter how traumatic the experience is, we know that we can overcome and we can come on the other side of that, spectrum. And we can show you how we can
Yeah.
tap into your power and really help you to move where you want to be in your life.
Yes.
It's,
Yes.
what I always say, it's the same, like people connect more that there are like these gym trainers. We are the mind trainers. You would have to exercise your mind muscle. You would have to work your mind muscle the same way as you are working out your body muscle.
Mhm. Mhm.
And the more you do it, the more you lean on that, the more you start seeing different things. And I love, like, the reward is that you become more peaceful. You become like standing in your power. You know that nobody can take that power away. And
Mhm.
it's just, like no money can even put the value on that, because now you do not rely on somebody's opinion. Now you do not rely on economy or anything else. You become your own superpower, right? Soul power, superpower. And
Yeah.
you just draw from that source, and you can navigate life so much better, because now you understand that you are the active participant of life. You are not just waiting there when life just happens to you. You know that life is happening through you and for you.
Yeah. And you're inviting it too. You're inviting it.
Absolutely.
You're
Yeah.
inviting the opportunities, the experiences with intentions, with
Mm-hmm.
consciousness, with being aware. And it makes it more
Absolutely.
fun. And really, I always say, like, invite it, but then let it go, move on, right? Don't
Right.
focus on it. You don't have to keep like holding on to, oh, I want this.
Mm-hmm.
You just let it
Mm-hmm.
go and trust, which is
Mm-hmm.
easier said than done. It's way easier
Right.
said than done. And
Mm-hmm.
but then when something does happen, it's like, oh, a miracle just happened, magic just happened. Like, it makes
Mm-hmm.
life really exciting when you're curious and open and receptive to receiving life
Mm-hmm.
through you.
I
Yes.
love it. I love it. Yeah. And the word receptive, I just remember because your podcast is called
Yes.
Receptive Radio, right? And
Yes.
what it comes to me is, like it's all we have to do just to change the channel on that radio in
Yes.
order to experience the different reality. Because if we think about it, a lot of times people are blaming the circumstances, but and like what's going on in the world. But look at that bunch of people who, no matter what's going on in the world, they are still prospering, they are still fulfilled, they are still happy, they are still balanced. So it's not about the outside world, it's about our inner world, because our inner world is going to reflect what's happening in our outside world.
You're so right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
receptive
important.
radio. Yeah.
Totally. And I'm going to be the guest on that
Yes,
show.
yes.
Yeah, super
Rena's gonna be
excited.
on it Thursday, and we're gonna be streaming to YouTube
Yes,
and my private Facebook group and
yes.
to
And I will stream
and
to
your
my,
channels as
yes,
well. We're gonna get it to
absolutely.
your channels as well. And,
Absolutely. Yes, totally.
that's at 12:30 Pacific, 3:30 Eastern Time. And so
Great.
I'm
Yeah.
really
So
excited.
everybody tune in. And Jennifer, if you wanted to leave the audience with one advice, what would it be?
Put yourself first, in the
Mm-hmm.
morning. Say hello to
Mm-hmm.
yourself before you get out of bed. Put yourself first.
Mm-hmm. I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah, just pay attention at yourself, right? Stop just taking care of everybody else. Remember that you, like you mentioned, you only have yourself. So start loving yourself on a deeper level. I
Yeah.
love our conversation. Thank you so much for sharing, comment. And again, for everybody, please register for this beautiful summit, because you're going to hear more of Jennifer in our interview. And you are going to learn more about money, not the traditional way where they are always saying you have to save and live on the budget. But we are going to break these stigma and just say, hey, you don't have to save, you can create more of it. And that's exactly what these conversations are going to be all about. Just come and join, and come with the open mind. Know that if there is something for you that's calling you to join, just join and be curious and experience it for yourself. Because again, it's never the lack of the resources in the universe, it's the lack of our awareness. Just because you never experience it, just because you do not know it, it doesn't mean it's not out there. And that's exactly why you want to join, because you are going to see what's out there and what's possible for you. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for this beautiful, beautiful conversation. Wishing you all the best, and we'll see you soon. All right. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.